the fans were actually counting down the play clock because they couldn't seem to get a play called. And this week, Denver will be on national TV hosting the 49ers. So a lot of people will see if that thing continues to look ugly. Now, we play a game here sometimes called Panic or Patience. Right now in Denver, Panic or Patience, Bart Scott?
I'm going to panic because we've all been around head coaches that are first-time head coaches, and you know who understands how to be a coach. I think we gave Nathaniel Hackett too much credit. We gave him the credit of running a great offense. Well, that was LaFleur's offense. And we've seen, like, Bill Belichick make a lot of head coaches that weren't ready to be head coaches, but they get elevated because they assume that if you've been in that organization that you know how to coach. You know, I never remembered or never knew that he wasn't calling the plays. So now he can't even do that process. And I think that the team and the players are saying, this guy don't know what the hell he's doing. And, like, he's going to have to figure it out, simplify some things, and maybe call in a consultant to kind of be that assistant head coach to help him with some of the processes.
All right, so one would wonder then, it's all well and good for us to be putting all this at the doorstep of Nathaniel Hackett. He's a name that candidly most people didn't know until he became the head coach here, and we thought maybe he would bring Aaron Rodgers, and he did not. The big star, of course, in Seattle all those years and now in Denver is Russell Wilson. When you see something struggling like this, it does make one wonder how much of this is on the quarterback and maybe some of the pieces of this thing that people don't see behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, you hear some stuff about Russell Wilson kind of going to the beat of his own drum and having his own office and not really being a part of that team environment. And I can tell you this, being around Tom, of course, Tom had a process on how he prepared and how he put his body through a certain thing to make himself ready to go, but he also included everyone in the team. Hey, go see Alex, let's work this out. Hey, we're in the lunchroom, for example, and on Fridays we'd have burgers and pizza. Well, you know, Tommy's going to have his shakes and his smoothies. He's going to eat good. But we'll go over to the pizza, look at you, eat it, and we're like, yo, Tom just is eating pizza.
So he's one of the guys. He's one of the guys.
Yes, of course. So I think there's also a part of, are you separating yourself and putting yourself at a different standard and on a pedestal compared to the rest of us? We're down here and he's up top.
You sort of touched on that last week, and we never really dove into it. What are your concerns?
Well, my concern is that, you know, it's Russell and everybody else. And, like, when you talk about coming together and gelling as a family, like D. Wood came from Detroit, I came from Baltimore, but we did a lot of things together off the field because you have to understand the guys next to you why. You don't understand the why, then how can you tell them the what? So when you know what a man is fighting for, you get that type of chemistry, you get that bond, and you're willing to go out and fight for him. When you separate yourself, the people isolate you as an I guy, and that's reportedly what happened in Seattle, and that was the downfall of the Legion of Boom and why it was a separation between. I mean, because if you listen to Richard Sherman, you would think that he hates Russell Wilson when you think about some of the comments that he makes about him, and maybe that's what he's doing. And maybe he hasn't learned from his previous mistakes as far as how becoming one of the guys, even though he is the quarterback.
What's your sense of all this, D. Wood?
Look like Nathaniel Hackett is way in over his head.
Okay, yeah.
Like literally, like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there. As far as, I mean, just look at the situation. I always say this, man. It's like, here it is. You got a $250 million quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, in the first game, you opt to, you know, put your faith in the kicker, kicking what was it?
64 yards.
A 64-yard field goal? Are you kidding me? Like, could you imagine, a situation like that with Peyton Manning happening? Like, Peyton Manning would go berserk, you know? So it's just like, there's so many situations that's going on, and I know it's early, but as a casual person, you can look at the game and just see, what is this guy doing? Like, it's just hard to really fathom right now. And I think Russell Wilson's got to start like taking this thing by the horns and saying, wait a minute, I'm the guy that's getting paid a lot of money here. Like, this thing needs to go through me or it could get ugly out there.
And then you also have the question in your head, was it good circumstances? When Russell came in, he came into a great team with a great coach, a crazy good defense, a running back that's a Hall of Famer. And then, you know, things started to fall apart. You pay your quarterback, then they have to cut some of the defenders on the defense. They don't have that same defense anymore. You know, then they're having the sack issues
Talk
and
about
the offensive
Seattle, right?
line. Yeah, in Seattle. They have the issues in Seattle. So then Seattle moves on. Russell goes to Denver. Now they're a Super Bowl team, and then they have all these issues. So
again, it's 2 weeks in, but I would agree that there was sort of an incongruity in we're going to put Russell on a pedestal, but we're not going to put the ball in his hands on fourth down in our very first game. So as you hear all of this, Jason, and you're talking to people all over the league, what are you hearing and what do you see?
Hackett is a smart guy. I mean, that's what people have always told me. True, he did not call the plays, but let's remember, Matt LaFleur didn't call the plays under Sean McVay when he was in Los Angeles, when he was in that role. Taylor didn't call the plays under McVay either. So calling plays in and of itself is not an indicative of whether or not the guy's going to be successful. Rough start, very bright guy. People around the league say that. His defensive coordinator was with McVay in L.A., very bright guy. I'm not ready to write him off yet.
How about the Russell of it all, though? Because that's interesting to me, because you would hear these, there were mostly whispers coming out of Seattle that there were just problems interpersonally inside the locker room, and now we hear maybe that's an issue. Again, I know that it is far too early to be writing anybody off, but if this thing is ugly on national TV on Sunday, we're all going to get a chance to see it. What is your sense of that?
Yeah, I mean, when I used to go out to Seattle to do stories, and you sit down with Russell. Russell is as polished as it gets, but you would hear these things, and now these things are being said in the open. Clearly, Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I believe that he can make this thing happen. But there are issues there from a team dynamic that got to be worked out.
Yeah, the problem is they're in a division where you don't have time to lose games. Yeah. Are you trying to figure it out? And Greeny, you got me stuck. You can't be using these big college words. Whereas I got associated with incongruity. I can't even transition from that. You know what I mean? I can't even spell that. Let alone, I need origin of word or something, man, like spelling bee.
One way or another. There are two things that don't seem to go together very well, which is we're going to pay our quarterback $250 million and give him his own office, but then on fourth down, I'm putting my kicker out there for a 64-yard field goal. That seemed to be some trouble.
That's like me throwing the break and you paying.
Having spent time with Mike Tomlin reporting him, I know he does not want to throw Kenny Pickett, their first-round pick, their future, the guy that they love, in with this rebuild offensive line that has a new center and a new right guard. And, as you know very well, offensive line play, it takes a time for that to come together. So you can bring the attack now, because I think that if they're going to go away from Trubisky, go to Mason Rudolph for a while. Just throw him out there as this line. I know Mason Rudolph is not the answer. Mason Rudolph has had opportunities. He proved he's not the answer. I just think that you don't want to throw Kenny Pickett out there right now.
Does it make sense?
It doesn't. I mean, listen, I remember once upon a time, right, in the AFC North where, we knocked out a guy named Tommy Maddox, and then a guy named Ben Roethlisberger came in, and quickly we went to the sideline as the Ravens organization and said, hey, how's Tommy? Can you get him back in? Because this kid you just put in there is killing us. And you talk about Kenny Pickett, he's 24 years old. He's played a lot of college football. I mean, I think that, if you put him out there, you see where he is, right? You have to evaluate, because Mason Rudolph isn't the present, and he damn sure ain't the future. The future is Kenny Pickett, and he should be able to protect himself well enough, because I think you're going to lose those receivers after a while. They have three of the best receivers, and Freiermuth is a good tight end, and you can't see how good they are because of the inability of Mitch Trubisky to play the quarterback position.
So before we move on to the next quarterback, first, Mitch Trubisky has to get benched. Do you think, having watched him in Chicago, Nico is a Joliet, Illinois guy, Bears guy, and so you watched all the struggles he had in Chicago, and now you watch the first two games here. Do you think he has played his way out of that job this quickly?
Not yet. You got to give him another game to see how he performs. But you look at what he's done so far. He's 49%. He's 18 for 37 on throws beyond 5 yards. That is not good. That is bad. So if you are a receiver in that building, you're getting a little frustrated. I'm open. Let's get the ball down the field. Let's push the ball deeper. And when you look at the game plan here, it almost looks like they're trying to be very cautious, run the football, keep the down and distances manageable. And with that being said, that's not winning. That's not a winning formula when you look around the league. A lot of these quarterbacks that are good, they're pushing the ball down the field deep. And if you're a receiver, you don't want to lose your receiving core. You don't want to lose the confidence. At this point, if they were to lose this game, what else do you have to lose? Go with the young kid. See what he's got. He might have a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, I'm going to spin it. I'm going to throw it down the field.
So I think that's an interesting point there, because it looks like they're setting this up to say we have an excellent defense. We're going to play defense, and we're not going to make mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. But Bart just set it up. They've got the weapons that they don't have to play. It doesn't seem like they should have to play that way. What's it like in those offensive meeting rooms when that's the way the games are being called and that's the way the games are playing out?
Well, I mean, we always say the big eye in the sky don't lie. So when you watch the film and you're seeing guys like, they're not going to say anything to certain people, but they're like, damn, y'all see me open right there? You see that? Everybody sees what's going on, so... But I still don't think that it's time to pull the plug yet.
No.
We talk about, inserting Kenny Pickett. I always said, when you go to the rookie, you can't turn back. Mm-hmm. And what if he gets in a situation where his confidence is shattered because he's playing behind a bad offensive line in Pittsburgh? If you pull him, you risk losing a rookie quarterback.
So maybe Jason was making a point there that you would like, one way or another. They play on a Thursday night tonight. So they have like that little mini bye here. So if you're going to make a quarterback change, we usually look at the bye week to do it because you get 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is that mini bye, and then they play the Jets, who, as much as I may love them, are not. It's not like they're playing the defending Super Bowl champs. This would seem, if tonight goes really badly, like a logical time to consider a change.
But listen, Greeny, I want to go back because if this game is a defensive struggle,
Right.
and it's a winnable game and no offense can really move the ball, you have to try and generate a spark because when you look within the division, you're only one game out of first place.
Right.
So this is realistic. You talk about Mike Tomlin never having a losing season. You might have to insert the rookie in the third or fourth quarter to see if he can get one drive.
So tonight, you're talking about, you think we could see a change tonight if it's not going well?
If he's struggling and if it's not Mitch's day and he has 3 or 4 interceptions, but you're still in the game, much like in week 1, on the other side, Joe Burrow with 5 turnovers and all the sacks, still in the game, you got to try and you owe that to your team to try and win a winnable game against a divisional foe that you hate.
And who are frustrated.